Welcome to the BTA Podcast. BTA, the voice of business travel.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the BTA Pulse podcast, where myself, Clive, Wrattan, and
Andrew Clarke
talk about stuff that's been going on in the BTA for over the last couple of weeks. And today is a bit unusual because we are actually at the same place, but we're not sat next to each other.
No, well, it's that feedback stuff that happens, Clive. We can't sit next to each other because we can't talk because there's too much feedback. So, and we're not techno advanced enough to understand how to stop that happening.
Exactly. So we're separated. I actually thought it was to do with the kind of lack of antiperspirant or something I've been wearing today, but the temperature has dropped a tad, so maybe I'm not quite as bad as before. But the reason we're together, and we should talk it through a little bit, is that we spent the day planning.
Planning, yes. In a gorgeous scene, although we've not seen much of the outside as yet, Clive. I think we should probably have a venture out after this recording, but it's gorgeous sunshine. We've got a beautiful river, and the venue we are at is a lovely little bar area, bit of darts, a bit of shuffleboard. So I think, we can probably make a couple of hours after we've done a bit more work.
Yeah, I mean, challenge you to a game of darts. I'm sat looking at the dartboard as we're speaking. You're not, but so I'm sussing it out. But yeah, a good day. And of course, we are now. What is it today? It is 24th of August, giving away the date we're recording it, but just a month away from our conference in Costa Blanca, Benidorm, next month. So good day. Kind of give our listeners a bit of view, because you are the main man. You are the moderator this year.
I've been given the enviable task of running people through, keeping them on time, and just making sure that the event comes together and connects very well. So yes, we've been going through the scripts, going through the running order, almost kind of making sure that show flow feels right, and we've got everything we need. Still a few outstanding points as we move into the next few weeks, but we've got another meeting with the wider team, our events manager and our production team tomorrow. So I'm sure we can finalise a few more of those points.
Absolutely. And for those that are coming and those that are not, why aren't you? But kind of an agenda driven.
Probably because I'm moderating.
Possibly, yeah. We didn't think about that. Yeah, we should put them off. We need a translation service for those of us from the south. But lots of good content coming into it. We've just been talking through some really great people on panels and speakers. And I know we kind of kick off with a political view, and it's not like there's been much going on in the UK political arena over the last few months. But yeah, Steve Richards is back. But he will always give a fantastic insight to what is four-party politics. The first time I think we will have heard from him since that happened. And by the time he gets there, we will have seen Andy Burnham for the first time actually be in the House, because really since he took over, they've been on recess. So there'll be a lot to talk about, I would imagine. There's so much around transport, Heathrow expansion, GBR formation. So it's going to be really, really relevant. I look forward to it. He's always a good speaker, Steve.
Yeah, and I think the most pertinent question, we've been talking about it today, should our Prime Minister wear a shirt and tie when on international duty? Yes or no? I think, for those that are listening after this event, I'm sure you're picking us up via social media. Just pop a comment in below and just give us your view on whether you feel our Prime Minister should have a shirt and tie on when they are in international duty away from the UK shores.
Absolutely, or maybe just a shirt, no tie. But who knows? It'll be good to hear, because that will obviously define how you dress on stage, Andrew. No points, no shorts. You see, you have a point.
This is it. I'll be representing the UK internationally, so I will need to smarten myself up for sure.
Yeah. So dress sense, be careful. Yeah. But yeah, we're also talking about, got a great opening session to set it all up with some of our board directors talking about the commercial model. And I think that is something that we don't talk about enough. And obviously we've got a room full of partners as well as TMCs, that it is a very difficult business. And I'm looking forward to that, hearing their views on how the model would be moving forward. And basically, not saying that we want anybody to have any sympathy with us, but just how tough it is in the current environment, right, for TMCs commercially. So that would be good.
Yeah. But, And talking about keeping busy, I know we're talking about content from for the autumn conference in a month's time, but we've been busy doing a lot of podcasts just recently. I think you've done quite a few over the last couple of weeks where I've had a few days off.
Yeah, I have to say, it feels like that's the main part of my role now. Maybe that's what somebody trying to tell me something. I should just basically go away and do podcasts. That's exactly. But no, I had two really good ones. One with our friends from Cvent, which I think will be released fairly soon, on AI in the events industry. And genuinely, I know you kind of say this, but some incredible stuff I hadn't even thought about. And I was just really listening as to how conferences are changing by the use of AI. And I'd be the first one to kind of criticize and say the format of a conference hasn't changed for years. It's good, but it's not the same. But there is changes coming with what AI is going to bring. So do listen out for that podcast, or look out for it and then listen to it. It would be a better way of saying it when it comes out. And I also got a day trip into London to record a podcast in person, which is a bit like we're doing here with colleagues from Victor or Fly Victor, which are the private jet company, which was great to see their new offices and to have a chat with Will about everything about private jets, and talked a bit, not that we, I know people go, we're talking about football, but just talking about things such as movements of Premier League teams and what have you, and really interesting stuff. And that's what our members do as well, work closely with them. So I'm not sure when that one will be out, but fairly soon too, I guess.
Interesting, isn't it? If you think of, I think it's okay to talk football when it relates to traveling for work and traveling for business. And I think if you go back to the days of probably when we started watching football, teams would jump on coaches and travel hundreds of miles around the country to get to their games. Whereas now, people will jump to the nearest airport and fly to the nearest airport and have the shorter coach journey. And it's all around player wellness. And it's the same concept that we see when it's the business traveller, right? It's that business traveller wellness, travelling on long journeys. How do you ensure that they're productive? How do you make sure they're active? How do you make sure they're looking after themselves in order to perform when they get to their destination? Yeah,
so it's so important when you're kind of dealing with elite sports people, business people. They need to be there ready to do business. Always used to say that corporates, you have corporate athletes. That's what they are. They need to be arrive to do the business, to do the deal, whatever it is, super fit, just like you would if you're an athlete, and that's important.
Yeah.
But what I find interesting is, and this is a bit of an aviation geek head for me, but just when you say private jets, you think of small jets, Lear jets, and that kind of stuff. But of course, a lot of what they do are 737s that are bespokely or configured for this, A320s, even 747s. It's incredible, that whole market and what's out there, and a big piece of what our members do.
Yeah, and talking about athletes and making sure that they're all pristine and ready for action, the Commonwealth Games have just happened. And what was interesting,
I noticed.
Yeah, a small event up in Glasgow. But what was interesting about it, Clive, is that it was the first combined Commonwealth Games. So normally what you would see is the Commonwealth Games happen, and then 2 weeks later, the Paralympics or Para-Commonwealth Games would happen.
Yeah.
This time they combined both events. And as our listeners may or may not know, we've got our mobility conference coming up on the 15th of September. And we've got a real open discussion and case study around the logistics of moving people around when you've got these combination of athletes and Paralympic athletes, because it was really tough for a lot of our normal organizations, mobility organizations, to get their head around. You need to take the people in wheelchairs and the people with disabilities in the same
transport mode
as the standard athletes, and that was a logistical challenge. So I'm really looking forward to hearing how that occurred, what went on, and the outcome of that in the mobility conference.
Yeah, and I think that also leads into the accessibility session we've got at conference, in that hearing from those with experience that if you turn up, you've booked an accessible room, and then there are 4 people that are turned up that want an accessible room, and the hotel suddenly goes, oh, actually, we've only got 3. Imagine what it must be like with combining para Commonwealth Games with able-bodied Commonwealth Games, enough hotel rooms, because it didn't use a village this time; it used hotel accommodation. So people forget this is all what travel management companies do, right? They're the glue between all of these bits. So fascinating story. So look forward to the mobility conference, which is on what date did you say it was?
15th of September, Tuesday the 15th of September in London. So
a good day to be in London, because it is the People's Awards in the evening. So you've got a perfect excuse to come in earlier and come in to our mobility conference.
Both. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
And we will finish nice and early so people can go and get washed and dressed up for the evening, so don't worry.
That's a great point. We've spoke with our mobility partners and just ensured that we build the agenda around exactly that. We want people to go and enjoy celebrating successful people in our industry. So the day will finish around 3:30. That gives them people time to get away, get to the hotels, check in, get themselves glammed up, and go and celebrate the success of our industry.
Yep, and that will be a good night. I look forward to that. I will be there as a judge and really enjoyed judging the categories that I did. So I look forward to seeing who wins from that and catching up with a few people, which is, again, the summer flying by, but it's been a long time since we've probably seen quite a lot of people because we've all been doing the same thing of going away on holiday. Talking of
Exactly
which,
Yes.
you're off actually because I don't. Most people, I guess, will know that you're kind of a double travel family, aren't you? Your
Double
wife
travel
is in the
family, yes.
industry.
My wife is in the industry, and she's off on a jolly, as we would call it in the
I
trade.
think it's work, you might say, to be honest.
Yes,
So,
it's a work jolly, but it's allowing a +1 on this occasion. So I am the +1. I'm going with her, and we're going to have quite a number of days out in the Far East. So quite looking forward to that pre-autumn conference. So she'll be coming back nice and refreshed in order to work on the autumn conference at the end of September.
Exactly. You can relax and then get completely stressed because you are not only attending, but you're moderating, as we mentioned earlier on. So, you're going to need that time.
Yes. But I land and it's straight back into briefing sessions. So it'll be a mind switch very quickly.
Yeah, so we've got one more of these podcasts before we go, two more. I don't know.
Two
before
more.
we do two more.
Two
okay,
more.
so and we will be back because the government are back. So that'd be interesting. Maybe they bring up something for us to talk about when they get back after recess. But I'm sure we will get back to being pretty busy in September within the industry. I don't mean just at the BTA, but hopefully business travel really starts kicking off again when the schools are back, which is pretty much any time now.
Yeah, 3rd of September, pretty much everyone starts going back. I know Scotland are already back, so they go back super early. But down in England and certainly Wales as well, I think they're more the beginning of September. But as you say, I think with the government being in recess, I think things have quietened down. It's hard to get hold of anyone, responses from people. So I think once we move into those early weeks of September, we'll start to get a bit more meat on the bone in terms of conversations, topics, and things that really the BTA need to get behind and start pushing those key messages.
Yep, absolutely. Look forward to that, and a busy winter working on behalf of our members on all of those things that may come up. So, we probably haven't got too much more to cover off today, other than to say, if you haven't registered or you want to find out more about the conference in Benidorm, then it's all on our website. I think we're almost close to capacity. And I know you kind of say it's a sales pitch, but no, we really are very close to capacity, I think.
We are. Yes. But I think with any event, if anybody's listening that's interested in coming, get in touch with us. We are a members only organisation for attending any of our events, but have a conversation, find out how you can get involved. We've got a members manager, we've got a partners manager, we've got our events manager. Any of us can speak to you about how you get involved, how you can be part of these conversations in what is going to be, as you said earlier, Clive, new Prime Minister, potentially new priorities. So as we move into 2027, what's that going to look like in terms of the UK economy and certainly for our industry? So if you want to get involved, then get in touch with us. Yeah, everything's on the website.
It is indeed, and we're always open, as you say, to have that conversation. So there we are. I think then we will sign off of our latest BTA Pulse podcast and be back in a couple of weeks. If there's anything you want us to discuss, as always, just drop Andrew or I a line and we'll happily give you our views or the views of the BTA. And in the meantime, you have a bank holiday coming up, the last long weekend of the year before we hit the C word. So we wish all of our listeners a relaxing 3-day weekend and be ready to come back fighting in September for what we hope is a very busy period for the business travel segment. So I would just say thank you for listening and goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me.